Hello everyone and welcome into the channel. My name is Brent with Investing on the Go. Today we're going to be talking about the Sofi Investing Challenge Week 33, Tiny Deposits, Real Growth, Full Transparency. This challenge has been depositing $25 every week and investing it into the stock market using VU, which tracks the S&P 500, since May 2025 with the goal of hitting $1,000 by the end of 2025 and showcasing just how powerful $25 is investing every single week. So if we had taken $25 and deposited it into a high yield savings account, by the end of say 40 weeks, we would deposit $1,000 and we probably would have still taken roughly 40 weeks of deposits to make that $1,000. Well, here we are on week 33. We'll go ahead and cover that. We hit our goal and kind of showcase what exactly took place in this week in the market and also dive into the portfolio. So definitely stick around for all of that. If you guys are brand new here to the channel, would really appreciate if you go down below, smash the thumbs up, subscribe, and if you'd like, you guys can join the completely free Discord server. The link is down in the pinned comment. And let's go ahead and get into the video. So let's go ahead and cover the weekly performance snapshot. So week 15th through the 19th, December 2025. This is the third week of December. This is our second week of red. We are flattish this week. Essentially, we dove down really quickly Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then on Wednesday, the market, we had a tech retreat Monday through Wednesday because a lot of Oracle was selling off with the data centers potentially being an issue. And then surprise rise in the US unemployment rate and jitters over the AI infrastructure spending. And that was all taking place early on the week. It looked like we were just kind of falling off a waterfall there. And then boom, on Wednesday, we closed below the 50-day moving average. So Wednesday, I was like, this is it. We're either going to move lower from this point on or we're going to bounce. And Thursday, wow, did we bounce. We gapped up a ginormous amount. I believe a % difference between close on Wednesday and open on Thursday. Then Thursday, it looked like, hey, we might retest Wednesday's kind of lows before kind of moving back up that 50-day moving average. And we did kind of trend in that way from open into close. We kind of trended downwards a bit and then closed Thursday. And then guess what happened? We gapped up once again on Friday. Another 0.6%, I believe, gapping up on the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow Jones. So everything had gapped up very nicely. And you can see across the week from Friday close of last week until Friday close of this week that the NASDAQ put on a gain of 0.56%. The S&P 500 put on a loss there of 0.17, and the Dow Jones last week had actually been pretty positive. It pulled back a bit at 0.88%. So I would guess that this is essentially flat. We're not up 1%, we're not down 1%, we're just kind of flat in the week. And I know last week's poll, I'll go ahead and put the last week's poll now, and then this week going in. This week going in, the majority of the individuals that have voted have said that this week they're expecting a % gain of 1% or more going into this Christmas week. Wednesday, the market's going to be closed on a half day. Thursday, the market's going to be closed all day. It'll resume on Friday. Whichever kind of news comes out between Wednesday and Friday, that's going to kind of see, is the market going to move higher here into the end of the year, or is it going to move lower? We shall see from there. But it's mostly kind of red and yellow highlights. So we already kind of discussed Monday through Wednesday is a bit of a tech retreat there with some surprise numbers from unemployment and jitters over the AI infrastructure spending. Midweek narrative shifted Thursday after the November consumer CPI report showed that inflation cooled off unexpectedly to 2.7% year over year, which is below the 3.1% forecast. So that was a bit more positive. Fed policy came in lower than expected inflation data provide justification for the Federal Reserve's recent rate cut earlier in December and eased investors' concerns about aggressive future rate hikes. I don't think we're going to get hikes anytime soon. As I said, I don't think there was any more rate cuts due, not in this year, in 2025, but I think there was 1 or 2 rate cuts expected in mid-year, prior to June 2026. I'm just not sure on the percentages there. Their fear meter moved up. There's less fear in the market. We moved from a 42, which was, again, it was still neutral fear level like low fear into neutral last week, but now we moved into a 45, which is kind of neutral. We're not positive, we're not negative. We're just in the middle right now. We're undecided. Are we going to move higher? Do we have any reason to really value our companies that are already pushing and taking on debt so much here? Or are we going to dive back into the fear, extreme fear category? The VIX meter also cooled off a bit from last week's 15.74 to this week's 14.91. You can see here over the past week, we're down for the week 7.36%. So VIX, like volatility out there, has been on the lower end, despite Monday through Wednesday kind of market kind of selling off 2-3% there in between there. The volatility index, the VIX, stayed still pretty flat-ish or even negative on the week. So that is the weekly performance. Let me know down in the comment section below. What do you guys think the market's going to be doing going into Christmas week, the 22nd to the 26th? Do you think the market will go higher than 1%? Do you think it'll go lower than 1%? Do you think it'll stay kind of flat as investors move hands off this week in the market? Let me know down in the comment section below. Now, if you did invest into the market individually, here are your individual stocks. As we talked about here earlier, we had Broadcom down 5.4%, Apple down 1.6%, Google down 0.69%, but the other magma stocks, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Tesla, Meta, all positive on the week, kind of helping, right? There's a lot of mix. We saw oil energy being down the most as far as the sector goes, whereas we saw a lot of the consumer cyclical and technology being positive. Financials were also kind of in a negative. That's why it was kind of flat this week. There wasn't a lot of oomph to really push the market into highs, like to get back into highs. And honestly, I don't know what the market's going to be doing going into this week. It could cool off a bit now that these names have popped this past week. They might cool off. Google, Amazon, Broadcom, Apple, they don't really have much reason right now, kind of going into the new year, going forward, to really put on anything. So we shall see how it kind of goes. If there's anything out there individually you're holding, let me know down in the comment section below. So if you guys are interested in starting your own journey, whether it's on Sofi or Robinhood, Public, there's many other platforms out there. Sofi is the platform that I'm using for this challenge. If you invest and start with $25, you'll get a bonus of $25 as well. Plus, if you guys are doing the Sofi Plus, I've noticed that over the past, every time that I'm depositing some capital, I get a 1% bonus. So on a weekly basis, I'm depositing $25. I get a 25-cent bonus every single week that I deposit. And if you deposited $100, that would be 1. If you deposited $1,000, that would be 10, and so on. Just reoccurring deposits. So whatever you'd like to get started with there. Now, going into our week 33 progress update. Oop, there we go. Progress update. So we have came officially to a close, as you can see here on the goal. Our base investment moved from $909.93 to $935.18. That's how much that we have deposited as our net contributions. That's how much cash that we ourselves have deposited into the account or had a 1% deposit bonus for. We had it this past week, so we deposited $25.25 into the account, and we have gains, right? So we'll talk about that here. Our previous week balance, we are at $979.85 after a market pullback. This week, we have a current week balance of $1,007.17. Our week portfolio change is 0.10%. So the market itself, S&P 500, which the VU tracks, was down a smidge, but because on Monday, when I bought into the VU, it had been down already and then kind of continued to move higher throughout the week. So by investing when it was red and then it slowly gaining throughout the week, it ended up being net positive on the week. Our weekly change, we made 96 cents. Our total change for this portfolio is 7.56%. The amount that it has generated in capital gains is, capital gains and dividends is $71.99. So you can see here our market gains is $69.34. Our dividends is $2.65. We purchased within the last week $25, purchased at $630.56, bought 0.3964 shares. Again, $25. While it doesn't look like it goes very far, we're buying up fractional shares as you deposit every single week. It does make a difference. We now own 1.60158 shares, and then we multiply that. So we're going into X dividend, which the dividend is removed out of the shares, so or the company or the ETF. So in this case, the X dividend is on Monday. So whatever shares that you're holding going into Monday, the dividend's going to be removed on that date. The dividend is $1.77 per share. So in this case, we own 1.6 shares. Multiply that by the dividend that you're going to get paid per share. In the next, you can see here the payout date is going to be the 24th, which is on Christmas Eve. So everyone that's invested into VU or potentially other companies out there probably paying out on Wednesday, it'll be kind of like a nice little Christmas Eve bonus, right? So 1.6 times 177 for the dividend. We're going to get paid out $2.83 in dividends. Our last dividend payout was $2.65. So hey, we've accumulated some more shares. We're going to get a larger dividend payout, and it's going to get reinvested next week because right now I have DRIP enabled, dividend reinvestment program. So it'll pay out and then get reinvested back into VU, buying up a little bit more shares than where we're currently at. So our progress towards our goal of 2 shares is 60%. But because this portfolio has hit the goal, so let's go ahead and pop up the progress towards the goal. Now the goal in this portfolio was to hit $1,000. We have hit $1,007.17, which is 100% towards our goal on week 33. Then we have officially completed this challenge. Now, I am trying to decide whether I want to. I also have $1,000 over at Robinhood and kind of go that route, or we're also going to be diving into showcasing more of the budgeting, living out of our individual brokerage account and monitoring our expenses, budgeting. But I think I'm going to have a couple different series lined up going forward as well, covering a lot of that information. So if there's any specific detailed information or challenges that you guys are interested in, let me know down in the comment section below. But I believe kind of going forward, I did enjoy the Sofi platform, but I think I want to use something else going forward. So I think that's going to be the end of Sofi Investment Challenge. And then I'll potentially move the equity from this portfolio, maybe either over into Fidelity or Robinhood or check out Public. I haven't used Public yet, but I've signed up for it. And kind of go from there. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions down in the comment section below. And that is going to be it for today's video. I really do appreciate everyone tuning in and hanging out. If you made it to the end, drop a comment down below saying, hey, made it to the end. Also, go down below, hit that subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and that's it. Thank you all for tuning in. If I don't see you guys again, I hope that you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.